Look at the bunnies we have. There's one bunny right there. Look how sweet. Hey, baby. And then here are the other two. Look how sweet. And if you remember, guys, this right here, that right there, that is the lawn. That's our other lawn. Like, that's our lawn. And that's where the house, that's where the duplex. Remember I told the story about our duplex? That's where the duplex was, right there. If I won the lottery and I won the Powerball, I would seriously put in like a massive pool down there. And I would have like, oh my God, I would have a massive pool with like a cabana. Oh, it would be perfect. Don't you think so, bunny? Look how sweet. And that was our snowball bush that I love. Look at that little baby. Hey, sweetheart.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's Debsy, and the place to be, it's Debsy. That's me. Boop, Debsy. Hey guys, happy Saturday. Nope, happy Sunday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and is having a great day. First and foremost, happy Father's Day to all the gentlemen out there, whether this be their first Father's Day they're celebrating, or their 50th. Here is to all types of fathers. And here's to mothers who have to be both mother and father. So, and here is, I'm wishing all the fathers up in heaven a happy Father's Day, including my father, and which this will be the fourth Father's Day for heavenly happy Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to everyone out there. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope the weather was good. The weather was perfect here most of the day, except for maybe about an hour and a half ago, it was pretty bad. It was pretty rainy. No surprise in Western Pennsylvania. Also, I hope you guys enjoyed the little bunny action beforehand. I pulled up from going out yesterday, pulled up into the driveway, and there were those 3 rabbits there, and I thought they were so cute, so I had to get them. And I also then wanted to show you guys, when I talk about the duplex that we used to have and our land, that's it. I wanted to show you guys that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Listen, I thought that we could do a Sunday chat and like catch up. So I got some water. It's not my favorite beverage, but it's a beverage I have to have. So I got water. Grab your favorite beverage, and we are going to talk about, just going to talk about the week that was. We're going to talk about the weekend. And then I'm going to talk about the Karen Ray trial a little bit, because I might then give a wrap-up video, maybe do a wrap-up video tomorrow, maybe depending on when they come in with a verdict. But you know, I was all over the first trial. I was all over this trial. I've watched all of the interviews. I've gotten down rabbit holes. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so Friday, I had Friday off. Friday, I took off because, very importantly, I had to go to the DMV at some point, sooner rather than later, because I had to renew my my driver's license, which I, in my mind, am thinking, ew, it's going to expire June 25th. Okay, let's get on it. So I had Friday off. I took it off just so I could do that. Also, a side benefit, being off on Friday, I got to just really watch closing arguments. And when I say really watch closing arguments, I mean really watch Alan Jackson's closing arguments. He's brilliant. Hank Brennan, not so much, but we'll get to that later. So DMV is literally probably about, if I had to count blocks, probably about 3 or 4 blocks from my house, like over there. If there wasn't buildings blocking it, I could see it. So it's over there. So I was like, okay, what time does it open up? It opens up at 8:30. So it opens up 8:30. So I got up around regular time. And I thought I'll wake up regular time. I'll go out, I'll get my coffee, and then I'll head up. So I went up, I got my coffee. Did I go to Dunkin' or did I go? I can't remember if I went to. Anyways, I went out and I got my coffee. The difference between Dunkin' and Starbucks, Dunkin' is like right up the hill. Driving, it takes you like a minute. And Starbucks, it takes you like probably 10 minutes to get there and then 10 minutes to come back, if that. So I can't remember which one I did, but I was coming down the hill. And when you go up the hill and you come down the hill, you go past the DMV. So I noticed it was like a little after 7, and there was like 3 or 4 people waiting. So I was like, oh crap, because here's the thing. With my mobility, standing, I can't stand for a long period of time. Not like in the past. Like seriously, if anybody's an old head like me, you remember back in the day when you want to go to a concert and you would just wait in line, you would just camp out. And that's what you did. If you had to wait 24 hours to get like, Bon Jovi tickets or whatever, you just did it. And that's the crazy thing. Like kids today will never know how great that was. You would just wait out. I mean, you could trust everybody. You just wait out to get tickets. But I can't do that anymore. So I was like, okay, I'll come home, I'll get ready, and then I'll make sure that I'm up there for when it opens. But 8:30, I went up and I pulled into the parking lot. By 8:33, there was a huge line. There were no parking spaces left. And how it is that it's most of the parking lot is on a hill. And then you have the top parts, the top spaces, because here's like the DMV. And then on the side is like a closet. It's like a closet thing, like a closet company. Aren't you watching TV? Yeah. Okay. You have to listen to me. So I would like to actually just park up the top because it's easier to walk there. So I go up there and there's the entire parking lot is full, like the entire. So I'm like, oh shit. So I come home, got home, listened to Alan Jackson's closing, partially listened to Commonwealth's closing. And I kept going up to see if there was like any parking spaces. There really wasn't. So I said, wait a minute, why don't I have my mom take me up and then drop me off and I'll just call her when I'm done. As it turns out, there was still busy. There was still a line. So I didn't do it. So I thought, well, I'll just go on Monday. I'll go on my birthday. I'll go on June 23rd. So luckily, thank God, I went online to look to see like what the hours are every day. And I noticed it's closed on Monday, but it's open on Saturday. So I'm like, okay, great. I'll just get up early. I'll go up. I'll wait like an hour and a half before it opens so that I can be there nice and early. Okay. So, my anxiety really got to me. So I woke up super early on Saturday. I woke up at like 5:30. I got changed and I went up to Dunkin' to get my coffee. When I was on the way up to Dunkin' to get my coffee at like 6 o'clock, there was already people there. Like there was already people waiting. And I was like, oh crap. So I came home, I had my breakfast, and then I went up later, a little bit later, and there's already a ton of people there. I went up what time? I went up a little bit after 7, maybe about 7:15. There was already a ton of people there. and a ton of cars. I said, oh, forget it. So I was up. So I just went out and I did some shopping, shop and save, went home, and then I went out later, did my pickup at Walmart. And my mom said a little bit later on, she was like, why don't I take, she said, I drove past. It doesn't look like there's anybody waiting. Why don't I drive you up? So we went up. There were still people standing in line waiting to get in. So I was like, oh, crap, forget this. So then when we got home, and she said, do you want to go up and see if maybe there's a parking spot and you can go in and wait? So I said, okay, we'll do that. Because listen, I didn't tell you guys this, but then I realized that, hold up, this expires on the 24th. So really, I either have to get it done like today or next Saturday. And then if I were to go on the 24th, I mean, it expires on the 24th. So I don't know if they would like hold it against me that I was driving. I got real nervous. So I went up, I found a parking spot. It was perfect. I went in there. The line was where it was before. And I said to the guy, I said, oh my God. So we have to wait in this line only to get in there and then try and get a seat to wait again. He's like, yes. The thing is, most of the people were there with like a ton of paperwork because they were trying to get a real ID. They were trying to get a real ID. And you had now, in order to fly, you have to have a real ID. Well, if you're flying within the US, they'll still let you fly, but you have to have all your paperwork, I guess, that you would normally have if you had went out and gotten a real ID. And it'll just, I mean, they'll still let you fly, but it'll take a little bit longer. And if you want to fly internationally, which I'm not flying nationally, and I'm certainly not flying internationally because I'm certainly not doing any of that. I'm not getting on a plane. No, not anytime soon. And when I say anytime soon, I mean probably never. So there's that. So they were all waiting for their real ID. I just had a camera card and I thought, oh, I wish somebody would just take people with camera cards. And as soon as I thought that, somebody came up behind us at a security guard, and he was like, does anybody just have a camera card? I said, I do. So he said, okay, let me see. And I showed it to him. He was like, and with a camera card, it's already paid. Like, I've already sent in my money to have my driver's license renewed, and they just send you the camera card. So in my mind, you know, in the past, we would always just bring a camera card and you give it to them and it'd be fine. But now I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have to jump through hoops? So in my bag, I had like, I had everything. I had my birth certificate. I had my driver's license, my birth certificate. I had my employee badge for my company at work. I had, I lost my social security card. So I had my W-2 form that shows my social security card. I had my car registration. I had all this. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna have to prove so much that I actually like live in Pennsylvania and I was born in Pennsylvania, which I was. I was born like up there. I just scratched my face. That's why it's all red. At a hospital that's no longer in our city. But yeah, I'm born and raised here. I live like 3 to 4 blocks from this building. So yep. So he was like, okay, if you have it, follow me. Followed him. We waited there for a little bit. A lady came over and said, can I see your camera card? I showed it to her. She's like, okay, here you go. Go ahead over to window 8. Number 210, go over to 8, number 8. And I was like, okay. I walked right up and I got done. Listen, I'm going to tell you, Eileen, if you don't know, I call my cane Eileen, because when it's time for me to get up and go someplace, I can say, come on, Eileen. Come on, Eileen. Oh, I swear. That's right, Eileen. So I was in and I was out. It was perfect. I didn't even have to wait like half an hour or anything. It was great. So I finally got it. Am I going to show anybody my picture? No, I'm not, because it's terrible. The picture that it's replacing was worse, because I looked like I hated my glasses. I looked like a giant snow beast. And this one, I don't look thinner. Like, my hair doesn't look as bad, and my glasses are much better looking. I'm still fat, but hey, who knows? This next one is good for 4 years. So by the time 4 years rolls around, if I'm still here, hopefully I won't have like all of this. I'll find some way to get it snatched. Like, I wish that you could like be like, because don't they tell you to like lean your neck out and be like, But no, they tell you to like look at the blue dot. So it can't be like, because he's like, give me a pretty smile. There's no such thing as a pretty smile with me. If I'm a pretty smile, it's you're like, what do you? It's like I have constipation or something. So I finally got that done. Thank God. I mean, that was giving me such anxiety. Like, so many things gives me anxiety. That gave me anxiety. And now, next Saturday, when I'm on my vacation, I don't have to worry about getting up super early. So I love that. I absolutely, that was the best part of yesterday. The absolute best part of yesterday. Okay, so today, like I said, on Father's Day, I went out to the mausoleum just to see my dad. Well, not to see my dad, but I just sat there and I talked to him. You know, told him some things are going on. The fact that he is he's a great grandfather. However, none of us have seen his great grandson. I've said in the past, once I retire, I'll be talking about that. Once I retire, it will come out. Once I retire. Okay. So what else? Went to the mausoleum, and then I came home, got my shower, my everything shower. I made dinner. I made an enchilada casserole with, I did not tape it or anything, with corn tortillas, a pound of ground meat, a can of black beans that I drained and rinsed. You were supposed to use a can of diced tomatoes. I didn't think we had any. I didn't see any, but then afterwards, my mom was like, we have them. What else? Enchilada sauce. And you spray like a baking dish, 9x13 baking dish, and you spray that. You lay down like 4 of the corn tortillas. They might overlap. And what you do is, in a pan, in a skillet, you brown your ground beef. You cook your ground beef along with a diced small onion, and garlic, 2 cloves. I used 3 cloves of minced garlic. You go and you get that all cooked up, and then you drain off the excess, and then you put in your dump in your beans, your enchilada sauce, and your seasonings. I think they tell you to put in cumin, I can't remember. Oh, wait a minute. What else? I have it right here. Cumin, chili. Oh, it does. Okay, it does call for chili powder. I thought I was being slick and I was just adding chili powder, but cumin, chili powder, salt and pepper. And wait, yep, you put all of that in and then you cover it, you let it simmer for like 5 minutes or so. And actually, while you're doing all of that, that's when they tell you to like grease your pan and put in your tortillas. So once that's done, then you take that mixture, that meat mixture, and you put half of it on your tortillas. And then you put like a whole mess of cheese on top of that. It says to use, in the recipe, it calls for 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, and 2 cups of shredded Monterey. I just got, and typically I would shred it, but I just got the one that's already shredded, and it's like a Mexican cheese that has cheddar and maybe Colby. Cheese is cheese. And so you sprinkle like a cup of each of those on top of that first layer, and then you put 4 more corn tortillas, and then you do it again where you put the rest of your meat, and then you put a whole mess of cheese on. And then you put it in the oven at 375. You want to make sure you preheat your oven to 375. And then you put it in for like 30 to 35 minutes. I did it for 35 minutes and it was mwah. It was mwah. Chef's kiss. It was really good. So I made that today, so we could have some today. And then the rest we'll have for Tuesday, because Tuesday we usually have Taco Tuesday. And this way Dolly won't have to cook that much. So I did that. It's a beef enchilada casserole. Olé! It was good. I got it from Pinterest, and it's from Pinterest, and it's called She's Not Cooking, and the author is Sandra Flegg, Flegg, and it's She's Not Cooking. Okay, so I made that, and then I made a dessert, which was like a lazy ricotta berry cobbler, and that I'm not going to go through exactly how I made that because I don't have the recipe anywhere nearby, but it was super easy, and it just took like, I just used you can use fresh or frozen fruit. I used frozen, and because I got some strawberries and they were terrible. Like, I think I might have found 1 or 2 that were good, and they weren't even that good. So I used that, and it has an almond flavor because you use ricotta cheese, cup of that. You use a 1/2 cup of almond flour and a 1/4 cup of regular flour, all-purpose flour. But then it tells you to use almond extract. I'm going to tell you, I love the taste of almonds, and even more, I love the smell of almond. I love the smell of almonds. It's one of my favorite smells, if not it's one of my favorite smells, almond. Like almond extract, I love it. So I put a little extra in there. And it came out really good. It's not like a cobbler like I usually make where it really firms up. I'm thinking it didn't firm up a lot, like a ton, because of the ricotta is what I'm thinking. That's what I think. Dolly loved it. I put extra almond in. And it's heavily almond, and I love it. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good and very almondy. And now I was thinking about possibly watching the movie Straw on Netflix. It's by Tyler Perry and starring Taraji P. Henson. I'm hearing a lot of good things about it. A lot. I'm hearing some very good reviews about Straw. So either I watch it, I don't know if I'm going to watch it tonight or if I'm going to watch it sometime during the week. I might watch it at some point during the week and maybe do a review on it. I heard that's very good. Okay, so listen, let's talk about this Karen retrial. It's the retrial. It's her second trial, so it's her retrial. It went on for 8 weeks. Closing arguments were on Friday. And it went, and here's the thing, it was happening quicker than we thought it would because the Commonwealth didn't call any rebuttal witnesses, which is crazy because they always do. My line of thinking is they didn't because this last expert that they had testifying, the last 2 experts they had testifying for the defense, actually, I think they put the nail in the coffin. Dr. LaPosada, she was like beyond qualified to testify. And she basically said, hey, listen, there is no medical evidence that this was caused by a collision. I mean, the scratches on his arms, she was like, those were not from tail light. How would the tail light? Here's the thing. The guy had on a sweatshirt. The guy had on a hoodie. John O'Keefe had on a hoodie. And they're saying that there were little, like very small, like almost pinpricks in his hoodie. So you're telling me that these large pieces of tail light that were found on the lawn at 34 Fairview, that they somehow got through those small holes. That's what you're telling me. Listen, so she was like, Brennan was like, so you're saying you didn't look at the Apple, he says healthcare data, which drove me nuts. You didn't look at the phone data. You didn't look at the infotainment data from the car. None. She's like, no, which to me, I was like, why would she? She's not an expert on that. She's a medical doctor. So she's like, no, I didn't look at it because there was no collision. And with her, they showed that, wait, was it with Dr. LaPosada or Dr. Rentschler? Either way, with one of them, they brought out these x-rays that I was like, where did they get these x-rays? And Dr. Rentschler, listen, Dr. Rentschler, Andrew Rentschler, for me, Dr. Andrew Rentschler was their best witness. They had some good witnesses. He was the best witness. I'm going to tell you why. Because he came right out and he was like, science is science. Look at these. Look at this arm. Look at this x-ray. It's pristine. You're telling me that this guy's standing there and he gets hit by a 6,000-pound Lexus SUV. And you're telling me his arm is going to tear up, is going to snap, is going to shatter a taillight into oblivion, but nothing's going to happen to his arm. There's not going to be any fractures, any breaks. There's not even a bruise. You tell me there wasn't even a bruise? No. I don't buy that. Unless his arm was one of those like medieval arms and it was like metal. No, there's no way. So those two, I feel like as soon as they brought out these, these x-rays that don't show anything, that's when they were like, well, what are we going to say? And then there's their idiot expert, Dr. What was his name? I'm going to call him Papa Smurf because I can't remember his name now. Wexler? Not Wexler. I'm going to call him Dr. Papa Smurf. The one who had to go and cosplay like John O'Keefe, like the victim, and paint the tail light blue and then have some dude back into him at 2 miles an hour so he can lean into the car and get his arm all blue. Which, by the way, if I was somebody that lived in Massachusetts, I'd be pissed because they paid Aperture $350,000 to paint the tail light blue and get hit at and get backed into at 2 miles an hour. That's what they paid for. Meanwhile, Arca, who was hired by the FBI. Here's the thing. They were hired by the FBI and at the start of the first trial. And Arca was open for anybody. Whoever wanted to use them, they could use them. They could use they could use their findings. Well, the Commonwealth, what they found didn't fit with their narrative, so the Commonwealth isn't using them. And they were only paid $50,000. And they actually did dummies tests with crash test dummies and all kinds of things. Arca has worked with the Department of Justice. They've worked with the U.S. military. They've worked with the NHL. They've actually worked at making wheelchairs better for disabled people, so that they're not pulling like their arm muscles. They're making better wheelchairs. The only thing Aperture's doing is lying about their CVs and the degrees they didn't get and painting their arms blue. No. So listen, AJ gets up there, Alan Jackson gets up there. You knew he was going to hit it out and knock it out of the park. I'm going to tell you what, Alan Jackson, like him or not, he is two things. He is a master orator. He is a fantastic public speaker. Fantastic. And he is a great storyteller. By the end of that, he leaned into everything. The first trial, they were trying to make it about this conspiracy of what happened in 34 Fairview. But this time they were leaning more into the flawed and a lot of times the non-existent investigation by what we now see as the corrupt, state police and the corrupt Canton police. And if you want to find out about how corrupt they are, I'm not going to talk about it right now. Go down the rabbit hole, search Sandra Birchmore, and you will see just how sleazy and slimy and corrupt Canton Police Department is, and how sleazy and slimy and corrupt the Massachusetts State Police is. The one thing I learned from this trial, I will never go to Massachusetts. I hear that it is lovely and they do a lot of good in the state. However, those are some corrupt ass police. If you go there and you get killed, your family's gonna have to jump through damn hoops to get justice for you. He talked about that. And then he basically talked about the scientific evidence, because what did he say? It's the silent witness or something like that. It doesn't Science doesn't lie and it doesn't take sides. It is what it is. There was no collision. He started off saying there was no collision, there was no collision, there was no collision, because there was no collision. Everything proves it. And that's it. And he was basically saying, like, listen, you are the ones who can stand up against this corruption, because listen, and this is just me saying it, but today it's Karen Read, but tomorrow it could be anybody. That's not me being like a conspiracy theorist. That's for real. If you've watched everything, the amount of evidence that was just mishandled, it is you can't believe it. You can't believe it. Like, this happened on what, January 29th or something like that? And like during a snowstorm. I mean, at the time that at the time of this alleged incident, it wasn't like a blizzard, but it was getting bad. But then after everything is cleared away, days later, and maybe even like a week later, they're still finding taillight. I don't understand how you're still finding taillight. Listen, maybe in one video, I'll go down the line and I'll say why I don't think she's guilty. And the sad part of this whole thing is they're never going to get justice for John O'Keefe. They're just not. I really don't think they are. What do I think is going to happen? Oh, and Brennan. Okay, and Hank Brennan, they called him in for the retrial for the Commonwealth, because the first guy to handle it for the Commonwealth in first trial was Adam Lally, who was terrible, who did a terrible job. So they bring this guy in. This guy is typically this guy is a defense attorney. Most notably, his most famous, most notable client was Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger was from Massachusetts. He was in crime family or a mob family. Well, Hank Brennan was his defense attorney. So he's typically a defense attorney, not a prosecutor. But I guess they were like, hey, does anybody want this? And nobody wanted it, so they brought him in. Everything about this trial, this Bev Cannoni, she's as biased can be. And you could see that because the one order that the defense requested was something like transparency in juror selection, and she said no. She said no to that. That didn't sound right, does it? You want it to be transparent so that everybody knows what's going on. Because in the last trial, the person that she made, the 4-person, we ended up finding out that he was a retired cop who was hit by a car. And then after he retired, he worked in the healthcare field, and he's related to somebody who was dating an Albert. And if you don't know, the Alberts, 34 Fairview, the lawn that's attached to the house where John O'Keefe was found, that was owned by an Albert. From what I understand, the Alberts run Canton. If you're not an Albert or a McCabe, if you're not a McAlbert, then you're a townie and you don't really have much of a say in anything. Bev is biased. Bev is biased as hell. So So the jury got their instructions, got the case to deliberate late in the day on Friday. She came back and said, listen, we're going to let them go. They want to go home. As I heard that there was going to be like a Flag Day parade going like right in front of, and this is in the city of Dedham. It was going to be going right down the street, right in front of the courthouse. So you know, they would have to be let out early. So tomorrow they continue deliberations. Listen, everybody is thinking it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's tomorrow. I'm thinking it's going to be on Tuesday, because last time they took like 3 or 4 days or something like that. I'm really hoping that this is guilty. I cannot see how somebody would look at this and beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty be like, yeah, she did it. I'm hoping that it's guilty. Or I'm hoping that it's not guilty, because why wouldn't it be not guilty? But in my mind, the first one was a mistrial, and in my mind, I'm afraid that this is going to be a mistrial. And Michael Meatball Morrissey, who is the DA for the city or something, before for the retrial, he was like, we are going to retry as many times as we have to. Meanwhile, I heard that before they even went to the first trial, the feds came to them and were like, hey, you don't have a shot with this. You shouldn't go to jail. You shouldn't go to court to trial. And they were like, no, we're going to trial. And they knew that they were going to pin it on her. They're going to pin it on the girl because she's an outsider. They weren't expecting her to put up a fight, but she did. So listen, this video is going way over. If you watched until the end, come on, if you watched until the end, how about if you put a dog and a cat? Put a dog and a cat in there. Oh, and speaking of dogs and cats, Jack had to go in for surgery this past Wednesday. He had to get teeth out. Oh, I was so nervous. I was beyond anxious all day. So he went in Wednesday morning. He had to get 7 teeth out. He's 16. He had to get 7 teeth out, and he came home and he was all like dazed and wobbly. Oh, but he's home and he's back to himself. So send some love out to Jack by putting any color of hearts, and let's put dogs in there. If you watched until the end, let's put dogs and cats. Okay. So with that being said, listen, if nobody told you yet today, you were loved, seen, and heard, please make sure that you put love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, hope, and positivity out there in the world, so it comes right back at you. Please take care of one another and treat others as you want to be treated. Please be aware of your surroundings, be smart and safe. Let's hydrate with some water. Wham ham. And if you're in a dangerous situation, please know that Dolly and I are sending our love, thoughts, prayers, and positive energy so you can make it through. Everybody have a great week coming up. I just have 5 days and then I'm off for a week. Five. So I will see you tomorrow to discuss Love Hotel. And before we go, please enjoy Dr. Dimples from the Karen Read retrial. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye guys. Love ya.
Because it was adorable. So you're not
Wait a minute.
the units.
I do not want to talk about units.
Just
Look at
okay.
this. If you mention the word jewels, I have it explode.
I didn't know
Look
if
at
you
those
wanted, yeah,
dimples.
meters, foot pounds. Okay.
Oh my God.
So just 24 squared
Correct.
is 576.
Look at those.